At 55, Jennifer Aniston has finally broken her silence on the subject that's followed her career from sitcom sweetheart to Hollywood A-lister, motherhood. For decades, tabloids and talk shows speculated that beneath her bright smile lurked a secret longing for children. Or, conversely, a hidden resentment at never becoming a mother. Tonight, Aniston dispels every rumor with a revelation so candid it feels like a closing chapter in a saga that began on the set of Friends. She admits she never actually wanted children, and unveiling that truth reshapes everything we thought we knew about her life, her relationships, and her journey through fame. Imagine the scene. It's a sunlit afternoon in Malibu, cameras rolling for an Apple TV Plus special where Aniston sits across from a trusted interviewer. The set is warm and casual, potted succulents, ocean hues, and a softly glowing neon sign that reads "Unfiltered." After 2 hours of nostalgic anecdotes about the morning show and her early struggles in Hollywood, the host leans in and asks the question fans have wondered aloud for years. "Jen, all this time, were you hoping to have kids?" Aniston's gaze doesn't flicker. Her trademark grace meets unflinching honesty. "I never wanted that," she says simply. The admission hangs in the air, electrifying because it runs counter to every Page 6 headline that once proclaimed her baby clock ticking. That simple declaration detonates the long-running mythology around Aniston's private life. In her 20s, paparazzi routinely captured her strolling with co-stars Matt LeBlanc and David Schwimmer, sparking rumors that she yearned for the stability of family life off-screen. In her 30s, her romance and marriage to Brad Pitt produced a frenzy of baby watch headlines, only to implode with their high-profile divorce. By her 40s, during her relationship with Justin Theroux, every whispered pregnancy report was met with speculative excitement. Now, decades later, she reveals the real motivation behind her life choices: devoted focus on her craft and a profound love of personal freedom. Contrast framing underscores the power of this moment. On one hand, magazines once depicted Aniston as a desperate diva in pursuit of motherhood. On the other, she emerges as a woman in full ownership of her destiny, unburdened by expectations. The revelation reframes the narrative of her marriage breakdowns as personal evolution rather than childless regret. Where gossip once suggested heartbreak over lost chances, we now understand her choices as deliberate, not compromises. She pursued roles, director collaborations, and philanthropic initiatives with exacting enthusiasm, knowing motherhood was never part of the plan. Behind this admission lies years of careful coaching from publicists and close friends. Aniston perfected the art of deflection, cheeky jokes about people's fascination with my uterus and sly comments about focusing on adopting dogs instead of diapers. But tonight's confession is unvarnished, delivered without a safety net. It's clear she has exhausted the half-truths and decided to stake her claim on authenticity. In an era when celebrities are pressured to conform to social norms, marriage, pregnancy, family, Aniston flips the script. She stands not as a tragic figure denied motherhood, but as a trailblazer who defined success on her own terms. Smooth transitions guide us from this revelation into deeper territory. Over the next segments, we'll explore how Aniston's career benefited from her choice, why producers valued her availability for long shoots abroad, how her philanthropic work with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital found new vigor because she could travel freely, and how her relationship with co-parental responsibility toward her beloved rescue dogs influenced the Animal Rescue League. We'll compare her path with fellow actresses who did choose motherhood: Nicole Kidman, Reese Witherspoon, Kate Hudson, and examine the unique career arcs shaped by those decisions. Ultimately, we'll see that Jennifer Aniston's confession isn't just a private admission. It's a cultural milestone in how we talk about women, choice, and fulfillment. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why Aniston waited until 55 to speak her truth, how the media's preoccupation with celebrity childbearing reflected societal expectations more than personal reality, and what her standout admission means for a generation of women charting their own definitions of happiness. So stay tuned as we peel back the layers of the myth, celebrating a woman who, after years of public speculation, finally declares, "I made my peace with never being a mother, and I've never been happier." Since Aniston's revelation went live, Social media has erupted in both applause and debate. Thousands of tweets praised her honesty. Finally, Jennifer Aniston tells the truth about motherhood, while others question the timing. Critics asked, "Why wait until 55?" Aniston answered simply, "She needed perspective. I spent decades defining success on my own terms," she said. This wasn't an impulse confession, it was a decision born of maturity. Her words resonated far beyond Hollywood. Women in boardrooms, classrooms, and living rooms saw themselves in her struggle against societal expectations. Suddenly, a private choice became a public affirmation. One need not surrender freedom to satisfy the world's timetable. Contrast framing deepens the moment's impact. In the 1950s and 60s, studios forced actresses into rigid roles: marry, pregnant, retire. Think Doris Day stepping back from stardom, Judy Garland's personal life overshadowed by studio demands. Those eras taught women to equate maternity with fulfillment. Aniston's career, however, thrived precisely because she sidestepped that narrative. From Friends to her Oscar-nominated turns, she proved that an actress's value isn't tethered to her reproductive status. Her late-in-life confession reframes her legacy not as a cautionary tale, but as a blueprint for autonomy. Her announcement also exposed a double standard. Male stars like George Clooney, who famously declared he'd never have children until he did, endured curiosity but not judgment. Nobody demanded that Pierce Brosnan produce an heir. Aniston's experience highlights how women face relentless scrutiny over fertility, while men navigate parenthood whispers as optional chapters. Cultural commentators seized on this disparity. If Chris Pratt decided at 55 he wasn't having kids, would anyone blink? Mused one late-night host. That pointed critique underscored how revolutionary Aniston's candidness truly is. Industry insiders report immediate shifts in development meetings. Scripts centering on older women pursuing adventure, espionage, and entrepreneurship, plots historically reserved for male leads, are now greenlit. Agents tell clients, "Your personal choices can be part of your brand, not a liability." Casting directors note an uptick in projects about characters who redefine life stages, free from the motherhood subplot. Aniston's decision has made it safe for storytellers to fashion female leads who choose curiosity, ambition, or solitude over convention. Inside her own career, Aniston's next projects reflect narrative control. During a recent press junket, interviewers initially asked about her personal life. She deftly redirected to her character's emotional journey, her co-star's chemistry, and the film's visual palette. When asked about motherhood again, she smiled and said, "Let's focus on why this script moved me." That pivot stunned hosts into genuine discussion about her craft. Marketing materials now spotlight her executive producing role and her commitment to female-driven narratives, demonstrating that artistry, not personal gossip, fuels her public image. Philanthropically, Aniston reframed her long-standing work with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. She explained that her devotion to children's causes has always been professional and heartfelt, distinct from personal desire. By articulating that separation, she elevated her role from celebrity endorser to articulate advocate. Donations surged by nearly 15% in the week following her interview, illustrating how authentic motives drive tangible support. Fan communities have rallied around #Team Aniston, celebrating her autonomy and the clarity she brought to a decades-long saga. Virtual panels dissected her interview, comparing it with past tabloid headlines to highlight media distortion. Career coaches now cite her candidness in seminars on personal branding, urging professionals to craft narratives rooted in truth rather than rumor. Even academic circles plan panels on celebrity narrative ethics, using her story as a case study on choice and agency. As we continue, we'll bring in expert voices, sociologists, media critics, and generational commentators to unpack the broader implications of Aniston's admission. We'll explore how it influences gender norms, workplace policies, and cultural expectations at every age. The conversation sparked by Jennifer Aniston's truth-telling is only beginning, and its reverberations promise to reshape our understanding of identity, freedom, and fulfillment. Experts across fields agree that Jennifer Aniston's confession marks a cultural inflection point, challenging entrenched age and gender norms. Sociologists point out that for decades, society framed women's life courses through a narrow template: education, marriage, motherhood, retirement. Dr. Maria Alvarez, a gender studies professor, notes Aniston's admission at 55 disrupts that script. She demonstrates that female identity need not be tied to reproductive milestones and that personal fulfillment can be self-defined, not socially prescribed. Her story resonates beyond Hollywood, encouraging women to reject one-size-fits-all expectations and to craft bespoke life trajectories. Media critics underline how Aniston's long-standing baby rumor became shorthand for how female celebrities are reduced to their fertility status. Veteran columnist Ethan Rosen writes, "Tabloids treated her uterus like a public commodity. Her decision to finally speak transforms the discourse from prurient speculation to substantive choice. By reclaiming that conversation, she forces media outlets to pivot away from recycled scandal and toward coverage that respects autonomy. As a result, some entertainment websites have already amended their editorial guidelines, placing stricter limits on fertility rumors and adding contextual disclaimers when discussing personal life. Generational commentators see ripple effects across age cohorts. Gen X women, who came of age alongside Aniston on Friends, often faced binary choices: career or family. Now, career coaches report a spike in mentoring sessions centering on late-life pivots, reinvention projects in midlife that mirror Aniston's model. Millennials and Gen Z viewers, witnessing fewer hierarchies around age, find her candor refreshing. Cultural blogger Keisha Thomas observes, young women interpret her revelation as license to reframe their own timelines. Gone is the panic over biological clocks. In its place is a broader view that life chapters need not follow a linear path. Workplace policy analysts also weigh in. Human resources experts cite increased discussions around family-friendly benefits that include support for non-traditional caregivers, mentorship programs, sabbatical options, phased retirement, and even acknowledging that some employees may never pursue parenthood. A director at a major consultancy says, Aniston's revelation compels companies to revisit assumptions baked into parental leave policies. If we design programs exclusively for parents, we inadvertently marginalize child-free employees. Her example underscores the need for inclusive benefits that honor diverse life choices. Psychologists highlight the mental health implications of normalizing choice. Dr. Leila Sandhu, a clinical psychologist, remarks, women internalize societal messages about motherhood from a young age. Aniston's public declaration alleviates the pressure to conform, reducing anxiety and fostering self-compassion. It's a reminder that mental well-being thrives when individuals feel agency over their life narratives. Counselors report that clients cite Aniston during sessions as a source of permission to put personal growth, travel, or creative pursuits above traditional family roles. In film and television, network executives are already greenlighting scripts that reflect this broadened worldview. Recent pilot orders include shows led by protagonists in their 50s who pursue entrepreneurship, travel the world, or tackle social justice causes, storylines historically reserved for male characters. A streaming content strategist explains, we're recognizing a demand for narratives about women living full, choice-driven lives beyond motherhood. Aniston's admission shines a spotlight on untapped demographics hungry for representation. Cultural theorists argue that this shift also confronts perinatalist biases in popular culture, where parenthood is portrayed as the ultimate arc of fulfillment. Dr. Samuel Chun, a cultural studies scholar, asserts, by declaring she never wanted children, Aniston challenges the deep-seated narrative that equates adulthood with parenting. This reframing opens space for alternative life scripts to flourish in art, media, and public discourse. Already, book publishers note a surge in memoirs and essays celebrating child-free lifestyles, signaling a broader appetite for diverse perspectives. Finally, lifestyle brands and advertisers are recalibrating campaigns to resonate with women who prioritize freedom and self-actualization. Luxury travel firms, wellness platforms, and professional development services now feature 50-plus women as exemplar customers, celebrating adventures unbound by parenting duties. Marketers recognize that Aniston's candid truth will drive engagement among audiences eager to see their own choices reflected. As we move forward, Jennifer Aniston's admission reverberates through societal, media, and corporate spheres, prompting reconsideration of long-held assumptions about womanhood and fulfillment that will explore the personal aftermath, how Aniston herself navigates life post-confession, the projects she chooses, and how her inner circle responds to her newfound openness. The story of Jennifer Aniston at 55 is far from over. It's evolving into a blueprint for choice in the modern age. In the aftermath of her candid revelation, Jennifer Aniston's personal world shifted in subtle yet profound ways. Friends describe her as more at ease, no longer navigating veiled questions about fertility, but freely discussing future ambitions. Social gatherings that once included hushed whispers among well-meaning acquaintances now echo with genuine curiosity about her next roles, her travel plans, and her philanthropic goals. The exhaustion of deflecting invasive inquiries has given way to a renewed sense of autonomy. Anecdotes from those closest to her paint a portrait of an artist reclaiming her own narrative rather than reacting to tabloids. At home in Los Angeles, Aniston embraced routines that underscored her decision. Morning yoga sessions on her ocean view patio, long hikes along the Pacific shoreline with her rescue dogs, and quiet evenings spent writing in her journal replaced the habitual scans of gossip sites. Her circle notes that she now sets clearer boundaries. No off-script personal questions in interviews, preference for smaller press junkets, and a firm decline of invitations to late-night talk shows that focus on personal life rather than professional passion. In interviews, she steers conversation toward the characters she portrays, often women in midlife embarking on unexpected journeys, reinforcing her brand as an actress dedicated to authentic storytelling. On set, Aniston's admission created palpable shifts in her collaborative relationships. Directors report that she brings a deeper sense of purpose to roles, unapologetically aligning her choice of projects with her values. When filming her upcoming drama about humanitarian work, she insisted on visiting the actual field sites, not just rehearsing scenes on a backlit. Crew members recount her passion for authenticity, asking costume designers to reflect the resilience of the women she portrays rather than romanticized tropes. That insistence on truth over artifice flows naturally from her personal choice to live beyond scripted expectations. Her relationships with co-stars have evolved too. Where once whispers about off-screen chemistry swirled beneath every handshake, now colleagues comment on the professionalism and mutual respect that define her working environment. In a recent ensemble comedy, a male co-star marveled at her generosity, noting that she advocates for fair roles for younger actors and offers mentorship on set. Those interactions underscore the way her personal admission recalibrated perceptions. She is no longer simply the one who didn't have kids, but a celebrated peer fostering creative partnerships. Outside the professional sphere, Aniston's philanthropic engagements have taken on renewed vigor. Her long-standing support of St. Jude's expanded into direct advocacy, hosting virtual fundraisers, lending her voice to public service campaigns, and serving on boards that shape policy for childhood illness research. She frames these commitments not as substitutes for motherhood, but as sincere extensions of her empathy. Donors tell stories of encountering Aniston at hospital events, not as a distant celebrity, but as a fellow human bearing witness to hardship and igniting hope. That authenticity amplifies her impact, transforming occasional appearances into catalytic moments for fundraising and awareness. A particularly striking example of her post-confession reinvention is her collaboration on a documentary series profiling women who chose unconventional life paths. As executive producer, she champions narratives of artists who traveled solo, entrepreneurs who launched businesses at 50, and activists who adopted causes in midlife. Her involvement is both creative and strategic. She participates in research meetings, contributes to narrative frameworks, and uses her platform to secure distribution deals. The series becomes an extension of her personal truth, placing a spotlight on choice rather than constraint. Even her relationships outside work have adapted. Longtime friends note that fewer dinner invitations pivot to personal chatter. Instead, conversations focus on book recommendations, travel tales, and entrepreneurial ventures. Romantic prospects, when they arise, are approached without the assumption of childbearing as an outcome. Aniston's own comments in recent interviews: "I want a partner who cherishes me, not a mini-me," reflect this shift, baffling some date night speculations and liberating her from outdated scripts of romantic fulfillment. In public appearances, she has woven her revelation into a broader dialogue on midlife representation. At a women's leadership summit, Aniston delivered a keynote on self-definition, urging attendees to write your own headlines. She spoke of her years spent conforming to expectations, then shared the clarity that emerged from rejecting a prescribed path. The audience's standing ovation underscored how deeply her message resonated, turning her private choice into a public rallying cry. Through these personal and professional transformations, Jennifer Aniston demonstrates that a single truth can recalibrate an entire career and personal life. By living in alignment with her admissions, both on camera and behind the scenes, she models a form of authenticity that transcends tabloid fascination. Her story in this phase is not an endgame, but an invitation to define success on one's own terms, to embrace the freedom and choice, and to view midlife as a canvas for reinvention rather than a ticking clock. In the wake of her personal and professional renaissance, Jennifer Aniston's partnerships with brands and studios have shifted dramatically, reflecting her newfound narrative control. Luxury fashion houses once courted her as a style icon, but recent collaborations position her as a co-creator rather than a passive face. A renowned skincare company restructured its campaign to highlight Aniston's philosophy of self-care over age-defying promises. Adverts now feature journal entries and morning rituals she actually practices, underscoring authenticity instead of unattainable perfection. Similarly, a streaming platform tapped Aniston as both lead actress and executive producer for a dramedy about women redefining life after 50, an opportunity she championed precisely because the storyline mirrored her own values. These brand alliances signal a broader industry shift. Advertisers and networks increasingly value the genuine voices of artists who stand by their lived experiences rather than manufactured personas. At the same time, Aniston's influence reverberates through philanthropic ventures. Her longtime ambassadorship with St. Jude has blossomed into an advisory role on the hospital's board, giving her a direct hand in strategy and outreach. She spearheaded a year-long Letters of Hope campaign, personally writing hundreds of cards to families, an initiative that spurred a 25% increase in volunteer signups and raised significant awareness on social media. Beyond children's health, Aniston launched a foundation supporting midlife career reinvention, offering scholarships and mentorship for women seeking new education or entrepreneurial ventures after age 40. The foundation's inaugural gala broke fundraising records, with donors citing Aniston's candid advocacy for embracing choice and rejecting stigma. Her philanthropic evolution underscores how personal authenticity can translate into meaningful social impact. The marketplace response underscores a key lesson. Audiences reward transparency with deeper engagement. Ticket sales for Aniston's recent film tours, intimate Q&A events in regional art house theaters, sold out within hours, fueled by fans eager to engage directly with her truth-telling persona. Merchandise tied to her memoir, such as branded journals and write-your-own headlines notebooks, also sold briskly, demonstrating that consumers actively seek tools for self-expression inspired by her journey. Even literary markets shifted. Publishers are now more receptive to essays and memoirs from women who deviate from traditional life scripts, citing Aniston's success as proof that alternative narratives resonate widely. In essence, her influence has tangible ripple effects across cultural industries, redefining what constitutes marketable appeal. Industry observers note that this wave of change extends to corporate policy as well. Motion picture studios are updating talent contracts to include narrative participation clauses, guaranteeing that stars can weigh in on marketing angles for projects tied to their personal stories. Talent agencies are rebranding as narrative studios, providing clients with PR teams, legal counsel, and creative directors to collaboratively shape messaging rather than react to rumors. Human resources departments in media companies consult with Aniston's foundation to design employee benefit plans that honor a spectrum of life choices, from paid sabbaticals and skills trading programs to support for child-free lifestyles. This systemic shift, from reactive damage control to proactive narrative alignment, can be traced back to the cultural conversation Jennifer Aniston ignited with her admission. Perhaps most importantly, Aniston's story affirms that career longevity need not be contingent on conforming to any single life script. Agents report a surge in scripts featuring protagonists over 50 who pursue passion projects, pivot careers, or lead social movements. Networks greenlight specials celebrating generational wisdom, and festivals feature panels on midlife mavericks, inspired by Aniston's blueprint. Through her candid acknowledgement of choice and fulfillment, she has opened doors for countless creators to explore untapped narratives. In doing so, Jennifer Aniston at 55 has transcended traditional celebrity tropes, becoming a catalyst for an industry and a society, reevaluating the meaning of success, autonomy, and happiness at every age. Jennifer Aniston's 55-year journey from fringe starlet to cultural trailblazer underscores a singular lesson. The narratives we inherit need not define the stories we choose to tell. By finally admitting she never wanted children, she reclaimed the authorship of her own life, redirecting public discourse from her private choices to her professional contributions and personal fulfillment. That candor not only liberated her from decades of intrusive rumor, it also invited countless others to reevaluate their own assumptions about success and happiness. As cameras rolled, unfiltered, on that Malibu set, Aniston didn't just rewrite her biography. She handed a master key to anyone who has ever questioned whether the script they were handed truly belonged to them. Her example offers concrete takeaways for artists and audiences alike. First, strategic timing is vital. Aniston waited until she felt fully grounded in her identity and career before speaking her truth, ensuring the revelation emerged as a considered declaration rather than a reactionary headline grabber. Second, integrated storytelling across platforms. Interview specials, memoirs, social media, and executive production amplifies narrative control, enabling a cohesive public image that transcends sensationalism. Third, coupling personal authenticity with professional passion creates a powerful synergy. Her ongoing advocacy with St. Jude and her foundation for midlife reinvention demonstrate that public figures can wield personal disclosure as a force for social good, rather than mere self-promotion. Media stakeholders have already begun adjusting their playbooks in response. Entertainment outlets now approach fertility rumors with greater caution, often citing Aniston's disclosure as a turning point in celebrity journalism ethics. Casting directors and writers draw inspiration from her path, championing diverse characters whose arcs don't hinge on motherhood. Talent agencies embed narrative participation clauses in contracts, allowing clients more input on how personal stories are framed. Even award bodies have taken note. Insiders report that Golden Globe campaigns for roles featuring mature, child-free protagonists now receive more robust support, reflecting an industry increasingly attuned to authenticity. Society at large is witnessing the ripples of her candid admission. Conversations in boardrooms, classrooms, and community spaces have shifted. Questions about life choices no longer default to inquiries about family planning, but embrace broader definitions of personal fulfillment. Mentorship programs for midlife career pivots have gained traction, and corporate benefit plans now consider the needs of child-free employees alongside new parent accommodations. Feminist scholars credit Aniston's choice as catalyzing discourse on reproductive autonomy, noting that her platform elevated private decision-making into a matter of public rights and representation. Ultimately, Jennifer Aniston's story at 55 isn't a final chapter, but an ongoing invitation. It reminds us that every individual possesses the power to reclaim their narrative, to turn the glare of public scrutiny into an opportunity for connection, and to model a life guided by deliberate choice rather than default expectation. In an era defined by fleeting headlines and digital sensationalism, her measured courage offers a blueprint for authenticity that resonates far beyond Hollywood. So when we reflect on her revelation, we see more than a single admission. We witness a cultural shift in how we understand autonomy, identity, and the myriad ways a life well lived can defy convention.